Our first guest tonight says there are already clear trails to those leakers, but there's been no political will to do a real intensive investigation. Joining us tonight, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, Senior Fellow with the London Center for Policy Research. Tony, good to have you with us.
Thanks, Lou.
This has to be encouraging to all who are dismayed at what has become a nation's capital,
right,
filled with those who are revealing the country's classified information, its secrets.
Right, and let's pick up where Doug left off there. Look, I disagree with Doug on one point. It's not nearly as insurmountable as he's making it out to be. This is, information's like blood. It flows. You can trace where it goes. You can put dye in it and follow it. And one of the notable things about this, Lou, obviously, is, better late than never. I think it's great that we're finally stepping up. The Attorney General's finally stepping up to do this. But some of the first places he has to look is his own FBI. I was told by an FBI insider the other day that one of the guys who's been leaking for sure is their very attorney. One of the FBI attorneys who worked for Comey is one of the leakers. So that would be one of the first places you go great guns to do this. The other thing, Lou, I'm sorry, I respect John Kelly. I think he's going to try to do a great job of getting things under control. But less than 2 days after he's there, you see the leaks of very sensitive conversations the president had with overseas leaders. So again, there's a finite number of people who had access to that, and I'm pretty sure we know where they're at. So this is something that we should, you can't do everything at once, but for goodness sake, you have to go over after those who have done the most direct and measurable damage to national security immediately. And I think that's what he should be doing.
Now, I have to tell you, Attorney, I am heartened that the Attorney General finally seemingly awakened from what has been a months-long slumber,
yes,
and is now talking about leaks and investigating them. Triple the number of the Obama administration at the end. I don't think that's a particularly meaningful number, because we know that the administration of President Barack Obama was the most intensive fighting leaks and maintaining a government that was anything but transparent,
right,
to the point that many reporters were surveilled themselves and reacted accordingly.
Right.
Let's turn to the other issue that this president is dealing with, even as he's contending with these leaks from the intelligence community, his own staff, and the White House, the Mueller grand jury. Suddenly there are leaks rolling out of the Mueller investigation as special counsel, and the president has been utterly, in my judgment, betrayed by the Republican leadership of the Senate, the Republican leadership of the House. Speaker Ryan, Majority Leader McConnell have just given a free rein to all who would attack the president, in particular through this ridiculously partisan special counsel.
Right.
What does he do here?
Well, look, I think he's down to two groups of people who support him: the Trump supporters and those who are loyal to their oath of office, no matter their political affiliation. It seems like everyone else is joined this lynch mob. Lou, he fires Mueller, period. If there is something there, I think you need to bring in another former Attorney General. Mulcahy, I respect former Attorney General Mulcahy tremendously. Yeah. I think he is, by the way,
as do I, and does the entire country. Anyone who knows the man knows his character, his principles, his integrity.
I spoke to him several times about this and other issues, and Lou, he has no bone to pick with anybody. He will clearly try to define what exactly is illegal here and go from there. I don't see that here, because Mueller seems to be pulling all these lawyers who were big Clinton donors, big supporters of the other side. And Lou, I'm sorry, that to me clearly demonstrates a conflict of interest. You cannot have someone with that level of conflict of interest.
You can do anything you want, Tony, as you know, if you have a Republican leadership in the House and the Senate,
right,
who are working against this president and trying to subvert right along with the Dems, the left, and the deep state, this president's administration.
Right. But I think here, Lou, the president should do it. And look, again, Mulcahy has respect of those bodies no matter what.
Well, those are two different issues. One is firing Mueller and then replacing him. We still have the matter of an investigation that looks to me pretty clearly As Greg Jarrett has said on this broadcast a number of times, we need at least one more, perhaps two more special counsels just to investigate, for crying out loud, Hillary Clinton, her email scandals, the Clinton Foundation, the transfer of 20% of U.S. uranium assets to a Russian-owned entity. And the pay-for-play with $500,000 speaking fees to the former president, Bill Clinton, while her wife was making decisions that were obviously heavily in the favor of the Russians.
Right. Oh, I was talking to a nuclear expert today, Lou. We have to go to the Russians now for uranium for our own nuclear plants. It's completely insane, and that's an outgrowth of the very corruption we're talking about. And yes, I think you need to have another council, separate council, looking at this.
Do you find it amazing that the Republican leadership again, Mitch McConnell, the leader in the Senate, and Paul Ryan, the Speaker in the House, they haven't even suggested that they would be curious about the possibilities of collusion between the Clintons and the Russians, even though the evidence and the path is vividly clear to all who will look?
Well, there's two reasons. One of two reasons. Look, first, they could be part of it. I'm not putting it past those guys of having had some level of contact with the Clintons, and we're ready to give them a pass. I mean, we have to remember that
Are you saying Ryan and McConnell paid off as well, or are you talking about Russians?
I'm talking about the fact that there's one of two things. They don't care, or they're in the tank for them. That's it. And so I think in this case, what you're seeing is the larger bureaucracy, to include all Republicans who, you know, Ryan and McConnell, simply don't, they want what they have, which is control. They don't care about anything else.
Then you have the chairs of the Senate Judiciary and the House Judiciary Committees, and the ranking members who are being at least reported to by the special counsel, Robert Mueller. But again, there has been no sign of any constraint or a suggestion that the many conflicts that Robert Mueller brings to this job have to be dealt with. And so long as we are watching the silence of the Republican leadership on Capitol Hill, this president is at risk. Colonel Tony Shaffer, as always, great to have you here, Tony.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here, sir.